Hey, this is John Bohlinger with Premier Guitar. I'm with JD McPherson just a few hours before his show at the Mercy Lounge here in Nashville. JD, thanks for taking some time to talk to us.
Johnny, great to talk to you, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That guitar is amazing. Tell me all about it.
This guitar right here, I've been waiting for this to fall right here in my standing lap for about 2 years. There's a gentleman out in Joshua Tree, California, out in the desert, named T.K. Smith, who's actually one of my favorite guitar players. He was in some great bands, Big Sandy, Fly Right Trio, Smith's Ranch Boys, Bone Break Syncopators. He's just like a super great player, and he started building these guitars, and it's like, he is to guitar building as Masamune was to building samurai swords. But anyway, we've been talking about it for a long time. TK's stuff is really elegant, and he has this guitar called the Smith Special, which is kind of based on a lot of the guitars that Paul Bigsby was building in the late 40s, early 50s. And we sort of combine elements of that with this Jupiter Thunderbird Bo Diddley shape, this thing that he was doing, because my favorite rock and roll clip is Bo Diddley playing on Big D&T show, and the whole band has guitars shaped like this, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, but it is the coolest thing
But there's some really strange things about it. First of all, every inch of it is crafted by TK. All the aluminum, everything is all sandcast aluminum made by him. So everything on it, he wound the pickups, he carved the bakelite for the little bombs here. I mean, it's just like it's chambered, and it's got the bird's eye veneer, like if you can see right here. I don't know if you guys can see this, but this is how intricate it is. These little green circle fret markers, he hand carved those out of a comb from the 20s, like a bakelite comb. And you see the the walnut going through. It's a neck through body. And so it comes out down here, but he added a little bit of that same green bakelite. So there's all this like super geeky stuff on this thing that just, I don't know, it completes me.
Yeah, it's so great, and love it. And the brass nut.
Brass nut. It's got a couple of unusual things too. These pickups are very similar to Bigsby pickups, but if you carve out the top there, it brightens them up a little bit.
Wow.
And this bridge, we talked a lot about the bridge because on Gretsch guitars, there's kind of this strange history of the bridges, but this one was built by a guy in St. Louis who's got a company called MB Concepts, and it's based on the very first patent-pending intonatable bridge by that guy Melita, the Synchrosonic bridge. Those were, when the patent pending was happening, they were cast aluminum, and after that became sort of a little more cumbersome. They're sort of famously cumbersome bridges, but they sort of figured out some certain things to improve upon the original Melita bridge, and I really love it. It's super solid. It has all kinds of cool aspects to it. I can do all this kind of weird. I figured all these little nooks and crannies so I can make weird noises with it and stuff. But yeah, man. Another weird little feature is, you've got your regular sort of just bridge pickup sound. But if I switch it to the middle position and switch this one on, it goes out of phase, so I can do. So it's got that kind of honk sound to it.
Right.
So I mean, it's like I can get Joe Maphis out of this, I can get Grady Martin out of it, I can get Johnny Thunders out of it if I wanted to, I guess.
That's great. Are they flat-wound strings on it?
I was playing flats, but these are rounds, just kind of actually playing around between those two. When TK builds guitars, he always puts Thomastik strings on there because he's a jazz guy, and I tried it, but I couldn't bend that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm kind of playing around.
So what do you have on it right now?
Right now, these are Diodarios. These are just 11s. On my other guitars, I do play flats. I play Diodario chromes.
Yeah.
But
like
this guitar.
What gauge?
Well, this was just kind of 48,
like
11 through 48.
And the flats, same thing.
The same thing, except there's no wound third.
Oh, okay.
I actually got that idea from watching this program
Hey.
for the Jimmy Vaughn thing.
Oh yeah.
Because he loves the sound of flats. I love the sound of flats, but you gotta be able to
Oh yeah,
bend
yeah.
that note. And so yeah.
God, that's awesome, man. So is that like honestly a one-of-a-kind guitar?
Yeah, there's one, and we sort of have a handshake deal that there will only be one.
Oh, okay.
But his guitars are incredible, the Smith Special, and he does a lot of customization too. Like if you want like a cool, your name kind of Bigsby-style on a Bakelite pick guard, or he makes armrests, or he makes great pickups. He works really closely with Curtis Novak, another desert guy. I don't know what's with the desert guys. They're like out there and they've got nothing to do but build amazing stuff. But anyway, yeah, they're just super, super brilliant builders.
Wow. Well, that's going to be hard to beat. That is so cool. But let's see what else you have in your arsenal.
Okay.
I'll stop on your.
Thanks, man. This one here, I bring this one mostly because it's notable that it's a Strat.
Yeah.
And I don't want to offend any Strat players out there, but there was like a great part of my life that I just wouldn't ever play a Strat. I was a Tele guy, you know, it's like there's Strats and there's Teles and never the twain. But when we made my last record, I was throwing all these guitar player sounds at the producer, Mark Neal, and he said, well, you're talking about Strats. And I was like, okay. So we got a hold of a Strat, and I absolutely fell in love with the Fender Stratocaster, and I'm shamed that I didn't. I think they can do anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This one here is kind of based on, sorry man, I've left myself plugged in. Can you hear that, Johnny?
You bet. I dig the whole coil cable too, man. That's
again the Bo Diddley thing from TNT. They're all wearing those. But you know, it's wired vintage. I've got a little rubber ring on there to keep it from ever turning down. So it's just, you know, because that's kind of a famous thing is I pick really hard and everybody knocks those things out. But it's kind of based on the 50s, 50s neck, 50s body. I asked Fender to make me this kind of ink blue one. They did it. They were really nice about it.
Great.
And Curtis Novak pickups.
Oh,
that
cool.
The guy in the desert makes incredible vintage style pickups, and it just cuts like a poker through butter. It's awesome.
Right. So this is like a new, newish. Because I've seen it in one of your videos. I'm trying to think. It was that kind of Bo Diddley beat.
Which video?
I'm trying to remember.
Oh, this was in Head Over Heels.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, man. I play this guitar when we play that song live, and it's got the kind of a Mickey Baker kind of a honk to it, you know. It's just got the thing. I just don't know why I never saw the light about Strats until, I don't know, man. They're so incredible.
Yeah, I get it. Like some guitars, I was originally like that with Teles, strangely enough. Now
you weren't into Teles.
I wasn't, and then totally into it. Yeah.
Yeah. See, Tele was that was everything that I ever wanted in a guitar. I have this one. I don't have my little butterscotch one, which was my first one. I built it out of about 5 guitars.
Is that guy retired at home for now? And
you know, it is for now. I had a broken. A friend of mine sat on it and broke the neck, so it was retired. But I just got a nice 50 style neck put on it, and so it's ready to come back out again, but it's just not with the equipment that we have on the road right now. But this one was one I was playing for a little while, and TK actually helped me get this one set up too. This is the Fender, it's like one of their kind of new models of the 50 style. I had a little friendship with Fender going on, and they helped me get a couple guitars going, but
that's great.
I was always really attracted to Teles just because they're sort of like the working fella's guitar. You can beat them up really bad, and you have to fight them a little bit, and I always liked that about them. And a lot of players I love, you know, Joe Strummer played a Tele, you know, Waylon Jennings played a Tele, like these kind of anti-heroes. Yeah. That had as much to do with it as anything. But
isn't it amazing though? It's like 60-year-old technology, and they got it right the first time.
Totally.
So did you put the Charlie Christian pickup in it?
Yeah, TK built that for me. That's basically, you know, the Charlie Christian is essentially a Bigsby pickup with a plastic cover, and they're really nice for jazz tones. And then this is a Curtis Novak bridge pickup. I like to flip the control panel.
Right.
So you can kind of do some tone bends and things if you do that stuff, which I don't do that kind of stuff anymore so much with my band, but I used to a lot, but I'm just used to that being in this configuration. But
yeah, it's such a better setup, I think, too, just to...
They're such great guitars, man. They respond, but at the same time, it's not like effortless. You know, you have to kind of think. But I love them. TK did that inlay.
Oh, very cool.
This is like turning into a TK commercial.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he should send you some stuff after this.
He's definitely helped me out enough. Man.
That's great. So you're carrying these three, kind of covering all your sonic bases, and then running into this bad boy. Let's hear about this very cool amp.
I've had this one since we started touring. This is a Texotica Presidio 15, and it was hand built by my good friend Billy Horton, who lives in Austin, Texas. Billy has been around a long time. He's got an amazing kind of analog studio in Austin called Fort Horton. He did a lot of records with a lot of people that I love, guys like Nick Curran. But he was making these. They're kind of based on a 50s Fender Tweed amp, but I love 15-inch speakers, and so his 15-inch speaker model was just right. I just like the way the air moves with them, and they're you know, you can get a lot of sound without like completely breaking the bank as far as like overdrive goes.
Right.
But you know, I've never had any complaints about it as far as like, you know, if we play a smaller room or like a really big room, it's always kind of just right for me. The only problem is that Billy has stopped taking orders on these because he's got a gig playing bass for Jimmy Vaughn now. So
cool. Good for him.
Yeah, it's totally, I'll accept that.
Yeah.
I'll accept that. But, you know, I still call him sometimes, like, hey, man, what if I did this? And he'll be like, all right, man, if you do this and do this, you'll be all right. But, yeah, man, it's...
very cool. And you're running a Weber...
Yeah.
Ferromax 15.
Series. Yeah.
Cool.
It's pretty efficient speaker, but just kind of right on the edge where... if I dig in a little bit at a certain volume, it'll start to break up, that's my favorite plateau there, yeah.
Yeah, very cool. And then just a humble pedal board.
Man, you know, I'm a child of the 90s, and I was really into all the shoegaze stuff, so I can imagine this thing expanding at any moment. I'm starting to really fall in love with messing with pedals. And you know, you hear a lot of guys like, man, you just plug straight in, man. What's that? But I mean, there's all this other stuff you can do with pedals,
right?
You know?
Yeah. I have nightmares about just plugging straight in.
It's such a fun thing to mess with, and you know, Nels Cline is one of my favorite players, and just a player for all occasions. I mean, he's like, people say, you know, do all the pedals and everything degrade your sound? He's like, yes. Degradation is my sound.
That's cool. So your signal flow, you're starting with that Polytune, and where's it go from there?
This Moore Blue Phase here is just a little fuzz pedal that we got because in a few songs that we're doing now, we're doing these kind of psych rock fuzz stabs, and
cool.
I'll get in there, like I'll hunk down, and then like we'll be doing like the keys player Ray will be doing something, and I'll come down and start messing with feedback, and people probably wouldn't expect that, but I mean, it's like I said, I watched a lot of Dinosaur Jr. videos when I was a kid. So that's cool. I like the small footprint. I like everything that I've got is sort of built to travel too.
Right.
You know, I can throw this in a suitcase, and I've got this Diego or Diago, depending on whether you're in England, power supply. And I love it because it's really small, fits right in there, and it's universal voltage. So you can
really?
You just get an adapter. You don't need a converter, just adapter.
Cool.
You can plug into anywhere and it'll work.
That's great.
This really great guy just gave me this Nocturne Dino Brain a year or so ago, maybe. And he just showed up at a show and said, man, I really want you to have this. And I have to, to be honest, I just didn't use it because I didn't really know what it did, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I use this every night.
What is it? It's
basically,
like a compressor, or?
it's a boost. It's a strange concept, but it sort of emulates what's the boost or the preamp that's inside the Roland Space Echo.
Oh, wow.
A lot of players who are into guys like Brian Setzer and stuff, they, hit part of his sound as he goes through a Roland Space Echo.
Right.
And so a lot of Gretsch players started grabbing this because it adds that extra little kind of snap.
Oh, cool.
But man, I just use it for leads and for grit. And it's got such a nice subtle, I like very subtle things in that regard, and this does the job very nicely for me. So I highly recommend that pedal. I'm so glad that he warranted to give me one of them.
Yeah, that's great.
Full Tone Super Trem. It is, this thing has been through the trenches with me, you can see. I was using it for a while just as a kind of a tone thing, because if you have it turned on all the time but have it turned to soft, it gives you a nice little kind of warm thing, and I was just using it for that cool. Mostly. But the tremolo on it is I haven't heard a more enticing tremolo sound. I know T-Bone Walker uses these, and that's, I think, probably where I heard about it.
Cool. Yeah, and I love the speed setting on it, where you can just ramp up from fast to slow.
Yeah, and I use that. We've got a lot. Tremolo is sort of my crutch. I love it so much. It's like a tonic.
Yeah.
And I use it all the time. You can be playing and singing just something by yourself and have a little tremolo on it. It just helps. But yeah, they made a new one too that's a little smaller footprint and lets you tap out the speed you want. I'm probably end up switching up to that. But yeah, man, tremolo that's my bag.
Yeah, and it's cool. These are so kickable too. You can just get your foot in there.
Totally.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
Carbon Copy Analog Delay by MXR. I've had this pedal since, I don't know, man, I probably had that pedal for 10 years.
Wow, that's great.
And I just use it for a little thickener, like a little slapback. This band doesn't play like a lot of guys would use slapback stuff in kind of rockabilly settings, but our band is kind of more out of the rhythm and blues and rock and roll school. So I don't have a real hard slapback on. It's pretty soft and just kind of a and then it's out. But it takes up space, but it's basically the thing that kind of keeps things kind of chunky and nice.
Sure.
This thing is I'm obsessed with this thing. This is the Dr. Scientist Reverberator. When we were making our second record, I asked the producer, because we had tons of, he has a couple of EMT plate reverbs in his studio, and I was just that became the sound of the record. And so the Reverberator, it's essentially a plate reverb emulator. You'll get a lot of spring reverb emulators and room sound emulators and stuff, but the splashiness of the plate is something that I just, I use it all the time. And you can kind of do a short or a long decay.
Oh yeah.
It gets really moody, and you get all kinds of crazy sounds, and it's pretty customizable too, because you've got several plate sounds, several hall sounds, and you can bend the fabric of time with that. But I also have to say that of all the companies I've dealt with, this guy is just one of the best, as far as customer service goes. If something goes even remotely wrong with it, he fixes it immediately. Super well good communication, and he's just this. I just imagine this kind of lumberjack looking guy sitting in a log cabin in Canada, sucking back maple syrup and building pedals. I don't really know what he looks like, but he's a great guy to work with. So yeah, so that's my little. That's
too cool, man. It's a simple little system. It sounds great, man.
Thanks, man. If I can make one more mention too, I don't have it with me, it's with our other gear, but I got a hold of a Quilter Micro Pro Mach 2 built by Quilter Amps, and I can't say enough good things about that company. incredible people, and it's about this big. It weighs about 4 pounds.
Is it solid state?
It's solid state, but it sounds like a tube amp.
Yeah.
And you know, if something ever happens with a tube amp, it's like you just plug your speaker right into it and your day is saved. And that's the only thing I play overseas. Like when we fly
really?
overseas, you just kind of put it in your bag and take it with you, and you've got essentially a tube amp that if some backlighting company and stuff supplies you with like a less than desirable amp, you just put your thing in there.
That's great. What a great way to go. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, JD, thanks so much, man, for taking the time to talk to us, and congratulations on all the success. Enjoy your never-ending tour.
Yeah. Sorry I did all the chatty Cathy stuff, man.
Love the chatty Cathy.
Yeah, man.
We are all about the chatty Cathy.
I'm a big fan of the series. I watch them all the time. I've learned a lot from them.
Oh,
so
great,
I'm so
man.
glad that you guys asked me to be
Great.
part of it. Thanks
Well,
so
hey,
much.
man, all the best.
Thanks, man.
Don't forget to sign up for PG Perks, your all-access pass to exclusive gear giveaways and discounts on PremierGuitar.com.